On our second wedding anniversary, my wife suddenly went on a business trip, leaving me alone. But she mistakenly used my information to book a local hotel. Faced with my questioning, my wife was righteous. The flight is at dawn. What's wrong with me booking a room to rest now? Looking at the words couple suite, I sneered inwardly. Then I skillfully clicked on my wife's best friend's Weibo, and as expected, saw his newly updated post. The photo showed a man and a woman holding hands, and the location was the hotel my wife had booked. I calmly saved the photo and then sent a message to my wife. Let's divorce. Are you done? Can you stop being so suspicious? I told you I'm going on a business trip. How long are you going to be unreasonable? On the phone, my wife, Zhang Xinran's voice was a little hoarse, and her tone became more and more impatient in the face of my questioning. But on my phone, it showed that I had booked a couple's suite in a local hotel. Instantly, Zhang Xinran's explanation became a joke. Yes, I accidentally used your ID card to book a hotel because my flight is in the middle of the night, and I wanted to find a place to rest temporarily. I work very hard every day, unlike you who stay at home leisurely every day. If you love to overthink, then suit yourself. But don't call me again. Looking at the disconnected call, my eyes were as still as stagnant water. This kind of conversation has happened too many times. I'm already numb. But I still can't figure out why Zhang Xinran and I got married in the first place. It was clearly her who pursued me. Even when the diving equipment malfunctioned, Zhang Xinran would not hesitate to give me her life jacket. Even though I suffered from prolonged hypoxia due to that accident, which weakened my constitution, she swore to me that she would marry no one but me in this life. When did our relationship start to plummet? I skillfully clicked on a Weibo account called Shen releasing Yang. The blogger had posted a photo 10 minutes ago. It was a picture of two hands clasped together with the caption, "Our 16 years." I knew the mole on the woman's palm in the photo all too well. It was my wife's. And Shen releasing Yang was her best friend, Yang Fei. They grew up together as childhood sweethearts, and Zhang Xinran always told me that they were like siblings. But on the first day of Yang Fei's return to China, at his welcome party, he leaned against Zhang Xinran, feigning drunkenness, his tone ambiguous. "Xinran, I've missed you so much after a year apart. Now that you're married, will you still be good to me?" Zhang Xinran embraced him, completely disregarding my presence. "Of course, I'll be good to you. We're best friends for life." Unexpectedly, Yang Fei was relentless. "What if your husband doesn't want you to?" Zhang Xinran replied matter-of-factly. "He depends on me for everything now. What right does he have to object?" "Yang Fei, we've known each other for so many years. I've always considered you my closest family." The people at the party laughed and cheered, while I, the legitimate husband, seemed out of place. Amidst the dazzling lights and vibrant atmosphere, I saw Yang Fei put his arm around Zhang Xinran's waist and give me a provocative smile. That night, when we got home, Zhang Xinran and I had a big fight. But Zhang Xinran had all sorts of excuses. "I was just drunk and talking nonsense. Do you have to be so petty? Besides, am I wrong? You are dependent on me now. If Yang Fei and I had anything going on, it would have happened long ago. Would it have been your turn?" Recalling all of this, I laughed self-deprecatingly. The second anniversary candlelight dinner I had meticulously prepared, the marriage I had painstakingly maintained, seemed like a joke at this moment. After saving the picture, I casually dialed a number. "Ling Xiao, bring your legal department and your most trusted accountant to my company tomorrow." Hearing that I was getting a divorce, Ling Xiao, my best friend since childhood, looked as if I had finally come to my senses. "For the past 2 years, you have no idea what other friends have been saying about you in private. They all say that you've been bewitched by that woman, Zhang Xinran. Otherwise, how could you tolerate that homewrecker, Yang Fei, constantly prancing around in front of you?" Looking at the chairman's office, a place I hadn't seen in a while, I felt weary. Zhang Xinran had repeatedly claimed that she was the one supporting me. In reality, it was because of the accident I had, which left me in poor health, that I handed over the company to her to manage. But I didn't expect that in just 2 years, she would actually forget who was in charge. Li Lingxiao gestured to the legal and accounting team he had brought with him. Why do you need my company's legal and accounting team? Shouldn't you be looking for a lawyer for a divorce? Actually, our Li family's lawyers are quite capable too. I lightly tapped the departmental workflows and financial statements submitted by each department. I haven't been involved much in the company for the past 2 years. Zhang Xinran has been handling everything, both internally and externally. I don't trust her, so I asked you to bring the legal and accounting team to help me take a look and see if there are any problems with these signed contracts and cash flows. Understanding my concerns, everyone began to meticulously investigate. Unexpectedly, they actually discovered that Zhang Xinran had embezzled over 10 million from the company. However, the company clearly had someone on the inside working with Zhang Xinran. Just as the accountant discovered the discrepancies in the accounts, Zhang Xinran, who was supposed to be on a business trip in another province, suddenly reappeared at the company. Looking at Yang Fei trailing behind her, disgust flashed in my eyes. Noticing my gaze, Zhang Xinran coughed lightly. Yang Fei lost his job, so I recruited him. He came with me on this business trip. Don't overthink it. Yang Fei wore a harmless smile on his face, his tone dripping with insincerity. Xin didn't tell Brother Xiaohuai. Brother Xiaohuai won't be angry, right? Looking at Yang Fei, pretending to be submissive to me on the surface, but actually subtly provoking me, Li Lingxiao, unable to hold back, stepped forward and grabbed him by the collar. You homewrecker, have you no shame? Li Lingxiao, what are you doing? Seeing Yang Fei being held, Zhang Xinran panicked and tried to push Li Lingxiao away. Her voice filled with indignation. She yelled at me, Shen Xiaohuai, control your friend. Hearing Zhang Xinran's words, I patted Li Lingxiao's shoulder, and he finally let go. Seeing that I was still obedient, as always, Zhang Xinran breathed a sigh of relief. You're still sensible. But before she could finish her sentence, I spoke again. Yang Fei, you're fired, effective immediately. Hearing my words, Yang Fei tugged at Zhang Xinran's sleeve with a wronged expression. Zhang Xinran's voice instantly rose, glaring at me. Shen Xiaohuai, are you crazy? With me here, I'd like to see who dares touch Yang Fei. Looking at Zhang Xinran, who still didn't know what was about to happen, I coldly informed her. Not just Yang Fei, you're fired too. Zhang Xinran pointed at me in disbelief. You're firing me? On what grounds? I scoffed, my eyes devoid of any affection for her. Zhang Xinran, have you forgotten? I'm the CEO of this company. Firing you is just a matter of a single word from me. But I'm not just firing you, I'm also divorcing you. When Yang Fei heard I was getting a divorce, a flash of joy crossed his eyes. Zhang Xinran, on the other hand, panicked. Shen Xiaohuai, what nonsense are you talking about? You want to divorce me over such a small matter? Looking at Zhang Xinran, who was still deceiving herself, I pointed at Yang Fei and said, do you want me to list out all the disgusting things you did with him in front of the whole company? Did you enjoy yourselves and the couple's suite last night? Zhang Xinran's face turned pale when she saw that I knew everything. No, Xiaohuai, listen to my explanation. It's all a misunderstanding. You can't divorce me just because of a small misunderstanding. Have you forgotten that I saved your life before? Seeing her bring up the life-saving grace again, I placed the evidence of her embezzling 10 million yuan of company funds, which the legal department had found, in front of her. You did save me, so as long as you divorce me, I won't pursue this 10 million. Otherwise, you know what the consequences will be. After saying that, I left the company with Li Lingxiao. To celebrate my early escape from this misery, Li Lingxiao called a few friends and organized a drinking party to accompany me until I was drunk. Due to health reasons, I didn't drink much and was still sober when I got home. But just as I opened the door, a figure pounced on me from the darkness. Smelling the strong perfume, I saw Zhang Xinran's face in the moonlight. She was completely naked, her eyes seductive as she wrapped her arms around my neck. Xiaohuai, why are you back so late? I've been waiting for you for a long time. I'm sorry I was so unreasonable yesterday and wasted the 2-year anniversary surprise you prepared for me. Can we make up for it tonight? Looking at her joyful face, my eyes remained calm. I even turned on the closet light. Zhang Xinran obviously didn't expect this move and subconsciously raised her hand to cover her private parts. I coldly looked at the fading red marks on her body, unable to hide the disgust in my voice. I'm not interested in picking up trash. My blatant humiliation made Zhang Xinran blush. She gritted her teeth and was about to speak when the phone beside her suddenly rang. Seeing that she wasn't going to answer it, I glanced at it casually and reminded her, "It's Yang Fei. Are you sure you don't want to answer?" Hearing that it was Yang Fei, Zhang Xinran hesitated for 2 seconds before finally answering under my mocking gaze. Yang Fei on the other end of the phone sounded drunk, his voice choked with sobs. "Xinran, are you leaving me? I feel so bad, like I'm dying." "Xinran, I've seen Yang Fei use this trick too many times. Every time he acts like he's going to die, always in the middle of the night." And Zhang Xinran, under the pretense of worry, would go to him almost every time and not come back all night. This time, he also knew that Zhang Xinran and I were getting a divorce, so he deliberately made this scene, wanting to completely break apart our already precarious marriage. Noticing the flash of anxiety in Zhang Xinran's eyes, I sneered inwardly. But she didn't move, clearly not forgetting her goal of seducing me without any dignity tonight. She reached for my belt again. "Xiaohuai, as long as you say no, I won't go to him again. I'll only stay by your side." I clamped down on her hand, my voice extremely cold. "Are you deaf?" I said. "I think you're dirty. Get out." Humiliated again and again, Zhang Xinran couldn't take it anymore. She put on her clothes and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Before leaving, she left harsh words. "Shen Xiaohuai, don't regret this." After being tossed around by her, the alcohol surged through me, and I fell into a deep sleep. In the following days, I kept my word and not only fired Yang Fei, but also kicked Zhang Xinran out of the company. At first, she went to the company to make a scene, but the security guards, following my orders, didn't even let her through the gate. Later, she tried to find me, but I had already blocked her, and even the lock on my front door was changed. Li Ling Xiao, afraid that I would soften and be swayed by Zhang Xinran again, stayed by my side these past few days. "Whoa, Xiaohuai, I have big news for you." Looking at Li Ling Xiao's startled expression, I rubbed my temples. "What is it now?" Seeing my indifferent expression, Li Ling Xiao leaned in mysteriously and told me the news he had found out. That Yang Fei, didn't he spend a year abroad before? I specifically sent someone to investigate him. Guess what? Cliffhanger, he's a kept man. He somehow got involved in gambling while abroad and ended up in a lot of debt. He relied on being kept by rich women to pay it off. After he returned to the country, Zhang Xinran also gave him a lot of money, all of which he used to pay off his debts. This news really surprised me. Zhang Xinran probably still doesn't know about Yang Fei's messy business abroad. Otherwise, she wouldn't always think that Yang Fei is a weak and pitiful little thing. But none of this has anything to do with me anymore. As long as Zhang Xinran obediently divorces me, I don't want to get involved in their affairs. But I clearly underestimated Zhang Xinran's determination not to divorce me. Looking at Zhang Xinran and her parents, who were aggressively making a scene at my door early in the morning, I was a little dumbfounded. Seeing me appear, my mother-in-law unexpectedly slapped me across the face. "You heartless, sickly man. My daughter is pregnant with your child, and now you actually want to divorce her. How can there be such an irresponsible man like you? Xinran was simply blind to have taken a fancy to you in the first place. Don't even think about betraying her. As long as I'm here, I'll see who dares to bully my daughter." My mother-in-law's barrage of words caught me off guard, and Zhang Xinran, whom I hadn't seen for half a month, was pale, her eyes filled with tears, looking like she had been terribly wronged. But I still noticed what my mother-in-law said about Zhang Xinran's pregnancy. My in-laws thought I would feel guilty under this questioning, but my face became increasingly grim. The two of them exchanged glances, and finally, My father-in-law stepped forward to play the good cop. Xiaohuai, young people are bound to have some minor friction in life. Just apologize to each other, and this matter will be over. How can you keep talking about divorce? All right, you two apologize to each other and stop making a fuss. Zhang Xinran bit her lip and took the initiative to pull me. Xiaohuai, don't be angry with me. Let's live a good life together and don't mention divorce again. Looking coldly at the theatrical Zhang Xinran, I pushed her away without hesitation. Pregnant with my child? Zhang Xinran, aren't you ashamed of lying? Tell me yourself. How long has it been since I touched you? Did you get pregnant by yourself? Not only did you not hide your bastard, but you dare to come and frame me? Zhang Xinran, you're really good at scheming. My merciless words made Zhang Xinran's face stiffen. Before she could speak, my mother-in-law instantly yelled, Shen Xiaohuai, what do you mean? If my daughter isn't pregnant with your child, whose child could it be? Seeing their disbelief, I directly showed my in-laws the photo of Yang Fei and Zhang Xinran holding hands at the hotel on our second anniversary. On our second anniversary, your good daughter was rolling around with Yang Fei. Tell me, whose child is this? Hearing Yang Fei's name, my father-in-law frowned. Impossible. Xiaofei grew up with my daughter. They're good friends. How could they have such a sordid relationship? Xiaohuai, you must have misunderstood. I'm telling you, this child is yours. Don't try to deny it. Also, quickly transfer Xinran back to the company. You're not in good health. How can you manage the company well? Seeing that they finally revealed the real reason why they didn't want Zhang Xinran to divorce me, I sneered. Then I directly called the security guards patrolling the villa area and drove their family out. Although I drove them away this time, I knew that Zhang Xinran's family wouldn't give up so easily. Just as I was racking my brains for a countermeasure, Yang Fei took the initiative to approach me. Looking at Yang Fei's hostility towards me, I just felt that this person was really boring. A grown man actually playing such manipulative games. Seeing the contempt in my eyes, Yang Fei gritted his teeth. Shen Xiaohuai, if you're still a man, you should have some shame and stop clinging to Xinran and refusing to divorce. I'm telling you, Xinran is pregnant with my child now. If you know what's good for you, get lost immediately. Seeing Yang Fei, who was still being kept in the dark by Zhang Xinran and thought that I was the one refusing to divorce, I suddenly had an idea. I sighed, my tone helpless, but my face full of complacency. Do you think I don't want a divorce? But Zhang Xinran's parents like me and refused to let her divorce me. They even planned to go to my parents' house in 2 days to persuade me to change my mind. Yang Fei, even if you please Zhang Xinran, what's the use? As long as her parents don't agree, you'll never be able to marry her. I was originally planning to give Zhang Xinran a large sum of money as compensation after the divorce, but now it seems that this money won't be needed. I didn't miss the flash of surprise in Yang Fei's eyes when I said I was willing to compensate Zhang Xinran with a large sum of money. He clenched his fists and glared at me fiercely. Don't get ahead of yourself. Xinran will definitely divorce you. Watching Yang Fei leave angrily, I began to look forward to the drama in 2 days. The Zhang family, seeing my unwavering stance, refused to give up and decided to involve my parents. Upon receiving their call, I didn't hesitate and rushed over to their house. Noticing the taxi trailing me in the rearview mirror, I didn't try to shake it off. Instead, I slowed down to ensure it wouldn't lose me. By the time I arrived at my parents' place, the house was in complete chaos. Zhang Xinran's parents were berating me, accusing me of being heartless, while my parents staunchly defended me, convinced I wasn't the type to abandon my wife and child. Just as the argument reached its peak, Yang Fei and I made our dramatic entrance. The Zhang family was clearly taken aback by Yang Fei's presence, and I feigned surprise as well. Yang Fei, what are you doing here? When Zhang Xinran's father questioned him, Yang Fei cleared his throat and abruptly dropped to his knees. Uncle, Andy, it's all my fault. I'm the reason for this misunderstanding. The truth is the baby Xinran is carrying is mine. Yang Fei's declaration brought the room to a stunned silence. Zhang Xinran, caught off guard, frantically tried to pull him up. What nonsense are you spouting? Get out of here. But Yang Fei was determined to sabotage my marriage with Zhang Xinran. He gripped her hand, his expression earnest. Xinran, if we truly love each other, why should we stay apart? You never loved Shen Xiaohuai when you married him, so why stay with him now? Let's give our child a proper home. Isn't that better? It was too late for Zhang Xinran to stop him. My mother-in-law's face darkened instantly, realizing the child wasn't mine. My parents, on the other hand, were clutching their chests, gasping for breath, furious at this adulterous pair. The thought of the Zhang family trying to pin the child on me was the last straw. They immediately started to throw them out. You woman, you cheated on my son, and now you have the audacity to try and pass off this bastard as his? Do you think our family is easy to bully? Get out. Get out of here. At that moment, I paused the recording and brandished my phone at them. I suggest you leave now. This divorce is happening. Zhang Xinran, you love Yang Fei so much, right? Then stick with him and don't go ruining anyone else's life. Realizing I had recorded the entire charade, Zhang Xinran paled, knowing she couldn't stop the divorce. That same day, I hired the best lawyer in the city and handed over all the evidence I had gathered of her infidelity. Through the lawyer's negotiations, the divorce was finalized. Because of her adultery, Zhang Xinran was deemed the guilty party and ended up leaving with nothing. She was stunned by the outcome, but Yang Fei was even more agitated. He even went so far as to confront me outside my office building. It was during rush hour, and the area was crowded with people. Seeing me, he excitedly blocked my path, accusing me of being heartless. Didn't you say you'd give Xinran a large sum of money after the divorce? Why are you going back on your word? She's your wife. She's pregnant. How could you do this to her? His words were vague, easily misleading the onlookers into thinking I was a deadbeat dad abandoning his wife and child. As someone started recording with their phone, I quickly pulled out mine and played a recording. It was a recording I had secretly made during Yang Fei's previous visit. However, it was edited to only include his part of the conversation, omitting anything I had said. Caught off guard by the recording, Yang Fei, who had intended to use public opinion against me, was speechless. I put on a heartbroken expression and said helplessly, Yang Fei, you cheated on me. You got Zhang Xinran pregnant while we were still married. I accepted all of that. But now that we're divorced, you actually want to leech off me to support your family? Do you really think I'm a fool? Yang Fei stared at my feigned vulnerability in disbelief. This was the tactic he often used against me with Zhang Xinran. Now that I was using it on him, he was completely thrown off balance. The onlookers, having never seen such a shameless homewrecker like Yang Fei, immediately began to denounce him. Some even pointed their cameras at him, threatening to expose him as the trash he was. Yang Fei hadn't expected that his attempt to set me up would backfire so spectacularly. Helpless, he could only cover his face and flee. But I naturally wouldn't let him off so easily. No man could swallow this kind of humiliation. From the information Li Lingxiao had gathered, I knew Yang Fei was still deeply in debt. This month, Zhang Xinran had been busy trying to persuade me to reconcile, and then dealing with her dismissal. So she had forgotten to send Yang Fei money. Yang Fei didn't dare ask for it directly. After all, her offering it and him asking for it were two entirely different things. He needed to maintain his image as the devoted younger lover who only loved her, not her money. As a result, his loan payment for this month was overdue, and the institution he borrowed from wasn't a legitimate one. Violent debt collection was commonplace there. Yang Fei knew their methods, so he'd been hiding from them for days. This was also why he reacted so strongly when he heard about Zhang Xinran leaving with nothing. I had Li Lingxiao's men contact the loan sharks and reveal Yang Fei's location. Yang Fei wasn't anywhere else but at Zhang Xinran's house. Although Zhang Xinran's parents were angry at him for costing them me, their golden goose son-in-law, they were unwilling to drive him away. After all, if Yang Fei left, no one would want Zhang Xinran. So, under the guise of caring for Zhang Xinran and her unborn child, Yang Fei stayed at her house. Zhang Xinran, in the end, still loved Yang Fei, so the two were enjoying a period of domestic bliss. Until the debt collectors showed up, kicking down Zhang Xinran's front door and shattering the illusion of tranquility. Seeing the ferocious group, Yang Fei's face turned deathly pale. The debt collectors had been searching for him for over 10 days, and now that they had found him, their pinned-up anger finally had an outlet. Without a word, they brutally beat him. Their violence terrified Zhang Xinran, who screamed repeatedly. Seeing Yang Fei coughing up blood, Zhang Xinran shakily took out her phone and threatened to call the police. One of the debt collectors spat on the ground and glared menacingly at her. Call the police? Fine, go ahead. I'd like to see if the police will arrest us or him, seeing as he owes money, and ran away. Hearing that Yang Fei was being pursued for his debts, Zhang Xinran was stunned. Yang Fei didn't dare meet her gaze, burying his head like an ostrich. In the end, to get rid of the debt collectors, Zhang Xinran reluctantly took out 20,000 yuan to cover Yang Fei's overdue payment. Seeing the cash, the debt collectors finally released him, but not before warning him. There's still 540,000 yuan left. Don't even think about running again. If you do, I'll break your legs. Only after the debt collectors left did Yang Fei collapse, his body limp. Zhang Xinran, her eyes cold, demanded an explanation. Knowing he couldn't hide it from her, Yang Fei could only confess. Hearing about his gambling and being kept by someone abroad, Zhang Xinran felt as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her love for him instantly turned to disgust. Yang Fei noticed a change in her eyes and immediately dropped to his knees. Xinran, please listen to my explanation. I was blinded by madness when I made that terrible mistake. But you've always been the only one I love. After all these years together, who else could I love but you? His words clearly failed to move Zhang Xinran, especially since he seemed to have forgotten the charade he had maintained in front of her. The person Zhang Xinran loved had always been a fabrication. Zhang Xinran pulled her hand away, her eyes filled with disappointment. Yang Fei, I thought you were different, but I was wrong about you. You don't deserve me giving up Shen Xiaohuai for you. I don't want to see you again. Get out. Yang Fei's face was filled with panic. He clung to Zhang Xinran's leg. Xinran, if you drive me away now, you're killing me. Can you bear to let our child be born without a father? Xinran, I really want to live a good life with you. I promise I'll take good care of you and the child, and I'll never gamble again. Xinran, you've embezzled quite a bit of money from the company anyway, so just help me pay off my debts. Zhang Xinran's chest ached from his shameless words. She seemed to finally wake up and understand why Yang Fei had been with her. Zhang Xinran pushed him away, her eyes filled with disgust. You wish. I won't give you a single cent. Even if the debt collectors chop off your hands and feet, it has nothing to do with me. The child? You think I'll keep your child? You're dreaming. Yang Fei, you're truly despicable. Zhang Xinran slapped Yang Fei across the face, using all her strength to push him towards the door. Yang Fei initially tried to feign pity to win Zhang Xinran's forgiveness, but seeing her resolve and feeling the sting of her repeated slaps, his expression gradually darkened. Finally, after Zhang Xinran scratched him, all his resentment erupted. He kicked Zhang Xinran to the ground in a rage, his eyes bloodshot as he roared. Have you hit me enough? I've waited on you hand and foot for years, so what's wrong with asking you to help me pay off a debt? How dare you hit me? What right do you have to hit me? Don't want the child? Fine, then let's all die. With that, he kicked Zhang Xinran's abdomen repeatedly. Zhang Xinran screamed and collapsed on the ground, her cries of agony soon following. By the time neighbors heard her cries for help and arrived, Zhang Xinran's lower body was covered in blood. In the end, Zhang Xinran lost her child. Due to the damage to her uterus, she would never be able to conceive again. As for Yang Fei, he was charged with intentional assault and sentenced to 1 year in prison. After his release, he was tracked down by debt collectors for his unpaid debts, bundled into a sack, and taken away. He was never heard from again. Just as Zhang Xinran was about to be discharged from the hospital, the court summons arrived. Seeing that I had actually sued her, demanding compensation for the 10 million embezzled during her time at the company. Zhang Xinran tore up the court summons in a fit of rage. That 10 million had either been partially given to Yang Fei or squandered by her parents. Now, the scattered money in her hands still left her nearly $1 million short. Moreover, the thought of returning all the money she had left to me was enough to make her wince. In order to avoid repaying the money, she dragged her sick body to find me. Seeing Zhang Xinran's haggard face and significantly thinner frame, my heart remained unmoved, let alone feeling any sympathy. Zhang Xinran first questioned me, her eyes filled with tears. Shen Xiaohuai, have you forgotten how I saved you before? And you clearly promised me that if I just divorced you, you would let bygones be bygones regarding the 10 million. Now you're going back on your word. What kind of man are you? Seeing her still trying to leverage her past favor, my eyes turned cold. I recalled my visit to Yang Fei in prison not long ago, after his incarceration. They say a victory unflaunted is no victory at all. So, after Yang Fei landed himself in jail, I naturally had to witness his downfall. At that time, Yang Fei was in handcuffs, his face ashen. Upon seeing me, he no longer displayed his usual antagonism, but he still retained some pride, unwilling to see my triumphant demeanor. So, as visiting hours drew to a close, he forced a smile. Shen Xiaohuai, do you think you've won? Let me tell you from the beginning to the end, you are the biggest fool. Seeing his serious expression, I furrowed my brows slightly, instinctively realizing that there must be some secret they had been keeping from me. Sure enough, when Yang Fei spoke again, he revealed something that left me stunned for a full half-minute. Yang Fei, you developed feelings for Zhang Xinran because she saved your life, not only marrying her, but even handing over the company to her. But did you know that the problems with your diving equipment were all due to Zhang Xinran's machinations? She had her eye on you, this diamond bachelor, for a long time, but you were too hard to pursue. So, she came up with this plan, even deliberately leaving you oxygen-deprived in the water for an extended period, damaging your health, so she could take over your company. I jumped up in shock, my face full of disbelief. How did you know? Yang Fei laughed heartily, his eyes full of contempt as he thought of Zhang Xinran. That foolish woman was easily swayed by my sweet talk and became attached to me. She never guarded herself against me, so what could she possibly hide from me? A dying man's words are good. Yang Fei, in his current state, had no reason to lie to me. Seeing that I now knew everything, Zhang Xinran, who had just been aggressively questioning me, suddenly fell silent. Me, not suing you for trying to drown me 3 years ago, is already my last act of mercy. Don't push your luck. Zhang Xinran's eyes held fear and pleading. She shook her head slightly, clutching my hand. Xiaohuai, I was wrong. What I did before was indeed wrong. But I was young and naive then. I really didn't want to kill you. We were husband and wife for a time, for the sake of our past relationship. Please let me off the hook. Don't sue me, okay? I really don't have the money to pay you back. Looking at Zhang Xinran cry her eyes out, I indifferently withdrew my hand. The marital affection where you cheated on me and set me up, do you think if I truly dwelled on it, I would just sue you for the money? Seeing my unwavering resolve, Zhang Xinran's legs gave way, and she collapsed on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably. She might have regretted it, but it was too late now. With the court deadline approaching, Zhang Xinran had no choice but to return a portion of the money she had. Facing the remaining million, Zhang Xinran borrowed from everyone she knew, but her former close friends, seeing her now down and out, all turn a blind eye. Having witnessed the fickleness of human nature, Zhang Xinran could only turn to her parents for help. However, her parents had always relied on her for support and only owned a single property. To Zhang Xinran's surprise, when her parents heard she wanted to sell the house to cover the $1 million debt, they immediately kicked her out, cursing her as an unfilial daughter. You haven't even given us a good life, and now you want to sell the house. You must be crazy. Blame your own incompetence for being dumped by Shen Xiaohuai. Now you want to touch our house. Don't even think about it. Zhang Xinran watched her parents spit at her, feeling as if all her strength had been drained. Tears streaming down her face, she asked her parents in anguish, "I bought this house for you, and now that I'm in such dire straits, you're treating me like this." The only response was the sound of her parents slamming the door shut without hesitation. Zhang Xinran knelt at the doorway, wailing, finally realizing that they only cared about the value she brought them. But her heart-wrenching cries did not move her parents inside. Finally, Zhang Xinran stumbled away, disappearing into the pouring rain. On the last day of the court's deadline, Zhang Xinran sought me out, pushing a bank card in front of me. "There's 10 million in it." I was somewhat surprised. After confirming it was indeed 10 million, I didn't ask any further questions. Later, I learned that Zhang Xinran, in desperation, had chosen Yang Fei's old path, becoming a mistress. During her time as the company's head, she had met many CEOs of collaborating projects. So, to repay the debt, she offered herself to them one by one. She had nothing left now, only her body. I couldn't judge her choices. After all, karma had come full circle, and her current predicament was the consequence of her actions. Meanwhile, my phone displayed a notification about a couple's suite reservation at a local hotel. The wife of the boss who was supporting her discovered her existence and caught her red-handed. Clearly not her first time catching her husband cheating. The woman even brought reporters, specifically to document the face of the woman seducing her husband. Zhang Xinran resisted the woman's punches and kicks while desperately clutching the blanket around her naked body. Seeing the flashing camera lights, Zhang Xinran gradually stopped struggling, lying on the bed, resigned to her fate, as if nothing could hurt her more than the death of her spirit. Seeing the photos of Zhang Xinran's affair plastered all over the news, Li Lingxiao finally felt a sense of satisfaction. "So, buddy, feeling good? You're too soft-hearted. Even knowing she harmed you, you didn't retaliate." "Not me. This Mrs. Wang is quite the fighter. It was worth tipping her off." Looking at the smug Li Lingxiao, I tossed the tabloid featuring Zhang Xinran into the trash. Then, I slung my arm around Li Lingxiao's shoulder. "Let's go grab a drink." As for Zhang Xinran, to me, she was no different from a stranger.